I am joined by our Port Director, Beth Ann Rooney, who is going to be providing an update on the operational restart at the Port of New York and New Jersey. Beth will give a quick briefing, and then we will take a few questions at the end that I will come back on and moderate. So, Beth, over to you.
Great. Thank you, Tom, and good morning, everyone. As you know, a tentative agreement was reached between the ILA and the USMX yesterday afternoon. The Port Authority of New York and New Jersey is pleased that an agreement has been reached that allows our dock workers to return to the critical role of moving goods that power our economy. Since the agreement was reached last night, it has been all hands on deck to reopen the port and restart the flow of cargo. Early this morning, there were 24 ships at anchor waiting to get into port, including 19 container vessels, 4 car ships, and 1 other specialty vessel. On those 19 container ships were 35,000 import containers, which contain all types of consumer goods that we use on a daily basis. At this time, the Sandy Hook pilots, the docking masters, and the tugboats provided by McAllister and Moran are currently bringing 11 of those vessels into the port so that they can begin unloading the cargo that is on board. Those cargo operations, again, the discharging the containers and automobiles from the ships, and in the case of the container traffic, reloading export containers onto the ships, will begin tonight at 7 p.m. and work around the clock as is usual on the vessel side of the terminals. Following the discharge of the cargo, 2 of our terminals will open over the weekend for truck activity, meaning the ability to deliver the cargo out the gates to the warehouses and distribution centers. The remaining terminals will open on Monday morning at 6 a.m. While we have not clarified with the terminal operators yet additional hours that will be provided next week, I fully expect that they will be available to the trucking community. In order for the restart to be successful and efficient, we do need the warehousing and distribution center community, the trucking community, to utilize all available hours that the terminal operators make their gates available to the rest of the supply chain ecosystem. The port was shut down, including today, for essentially 4 days. While this could have had much more significant impact if it went on longer, it is not unusual for the Port of New York and New Jersey to be closed for 2 or 3 days for winter storms. And in the instances of things like Hurricane Sandy, 9/11, we were closed for 5 days or longer, and were able to recover in a very quick way. And again, that is dependent upon all of the supply chain partners being able to work collaboratively in order to clear the cargo. So with those 35,000 import containers that are on those ships, with about 21,000 that were on hand when we closed the terminals on Monday, that is less than 1 week's of normal activity. So I do expect that by this time next week, we will have serviced all of the vessels that were delayed, and that cargo will be flowing into the economy. While we understand there was great interest in this strike and the availability of the media to come out to the port facilities, we will be resuming activity tomorrow. There will be heavy truck traffic on our port roadways. It will get much heavier next week. So I would simply ask that the media refrain from coming out to the port facilities as you've been doing for the last several days, unimpeded, so that we can get back to the business of port operations without the media, blocking up, roadways and whatnot. So with that, Tom, I think I'll turn it back over to you for questions.
Terrific. Thank you very much, Beth. I see we have a few hands raised. Like I mentioned, we do have time for a few questions. And for those who do, please use the raise hand function. The first question, we will go to Dan Munoz with the record.
Hey, thanks for doing this.
Yep.
I'm curious how long you expect it to take to clear the entire backlog. You said this, I believe you said this time next week, but I'm hearing up to 2 to 3 weeks by some analysts. And second, is there anything in the ILA USMX agreement about automation, and what does that look like?
Yeah, so with regards to the time, to clear the backlog, I think we've all seen the references, of the analysts. Having done this, several times in, at least my 35-year, career, I have not seen it, take, the 1 week for every day of closure. So if you look at the capacity of the Port of New York and New Jersey, we typically do about 400,000 containers a month. And we're talking about having, 35,000 on the ships that are inbound right now, and another 35,000 on the ships that are at anchor. So it's less than 1 week's activity. Our ability to clear that cargo is entirely dependent upon, again, the trucking community and the rail community being able to move that cargo. So with regards to the rail, our 2 Class 1 partners, Norfolk Southern and CSX, had prepared for the restart right upon closure. So we have several 100,000 feet of rail cars here ready to be loaded with import containers that are going out to the Midwest, Eastern Canada, and New England. Same thing with the trucking community. We provided additional hours of service for the last 2 weeks prior to the strike, and the trucking community and the warehouse community were extremely receptive and cooperative to using all of those available hours. So again, I expect, Dan, that if they are as accommodating in helping to clear the backlog, that we will get through this and get back to quote unquote normal, in just a couple of days. With regards to the agreement, right now, as I understand it, the agreement is only on wages and only to come back to the table over the course of the next 90 days to discuss and work out the remaining issues.
Thank you, Dan, for that question. Our next question is Vanessa Yurkovich with CNN.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Great. Thanks for doing this. So just wondering, was there any cargo left at the docks or near the docks, perishable items that did not get picked up before the strike? And if so, do you have an understanding of what that was?
Yeah, so there was, Vanessa, thank you for the question. There were about 1,000 refrigerated containers that remained on terminal at closure on Monday evening. Those containers of refrigerated products are everything from foodstuffs to some medical equipment, some photography equipment, flowers. Wine and spirits are often in those refrigerated containers. So they all remained plugged in, so they should have maintained the temperature. Right now, the staff at the terminals is on site, bringing the terminals back into an operational readiness state, which would include confirming that the commodities inside those containers maintained the required temperature throughout the course of the strike. Again, given that it was 72 hours, I don't expect there to be spoilage of any of those commodities.
Thank you, Vanessa. Next question is Larry Higgs with New Jersey Advanced Media. Larry.
Thanks for taking my question. The first question is basically what's going to be given priority here? Is it going to be handling the containers that were left on the dock? Is it going to be handling the ships? And are there any ships that are going to require priority treatment over other ships?
Yeah, thanks for the question again, Larry. So the way in which the containers leave the terminals will be up to the shippers, the individual owners of the products, who decide to prioritize the trucking resources to go pick up, whether it be a container that was left on the dock on Monday at closure, or a container that is going to come off a ship tonight after 7 p.m. With regards to the ships that were at anchor, what was happening even during the strike was, one, we were in close coordination with both of the governor's offices, Governor Murphy and Governor Hochul, as well as Mayor Adams' offices and their offices of emergency management, departments of health, and others to understand if there were any supply chain shortages in certain areas. And if so, we then had the ability with U.S. Coast Guard and U.S. Customs to identify which ships may have had those commodities. And we were specifically looking for commodities that had health, life safety, sustenance, so food, and then anything that would impact manufacturing. So we were particularly mindful of commodities that if we couldn't get those to particular manufacturing facilities, those facilities would have to be shut down. So with all of that, our terminal operators, in concert with the ocean carriers, identified the prioritization of ships to come in. That was provided last night to the Coast Guard, the pilots, and the tugboat operators. And that is the way in which those ships are coming in now. So I think the good news, if anything, Larry, is that in all of our discussions with the states and the city in the last several days, there were no requests for any specific commodities that were on board the ships that needed to be prioritized. So now it's just a matter of commercial activity getting back to normal, with the shippers directing which containers get picked up first.
Larry, did you have any other follow-up questions?
I'm good, thank you.
Terrific. Thank you very much. Our final question is Rye Rivard with Politico. Right.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Quick question. Automation appears to be one of the outstanding issues. Can you provide a little bit of clarity about what is automated now, just so we can sort of understand how the table is set for what would and wouldn't change, based on what they might be talking about? Just sort of where we are now, ground truthing that.
Yeah, so at least in the Port of New York and New Jersey, we don't have any automation. There is limited semi-automation at the Port Liberty Terminal in Bayonne, which was agreed to several years ago between the terminal operator and the ILA. The way that the master contract reads today is that there is a committee that is established of 6 or 7 members of the USMX and 6 or 7 members of the ILA who review any requests that the terminal operators may have to implement semi-automation or automation. Right, given that we are a port authority and a landlord port authority, not a signatory to the contract and not the ones who are looking to employ the automation, difficult for us to opine on that at this juncture.
Thank you.
Tom, you're on mute if you're.
I am on mute, forgive me. Thank you, Rye. Jeff, I just wanted to triple check with Fox Business News if you had any questions. I don't see you have a hand raised, but just wanted to triple check.
Yeah, hi. You got me now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, you answered, Beth. Thank you so much for answering all those questions. Just one other thought, and that is cost to the port of for the 3 days or now 4 days of shutdown. Is there any economic impact to you at all, to the port?
Yeah, so we, Jeff, we do about $1 billion worth of cargo a day. That's the value of the cargo. That's obviously, not the economic impact. Our chief economist has estimated that port-wide, and this would include facilities that are not all under the Port Authority's jurisdiction. But the Port Authority's economist has estimated the cost on a daily basis, economic impact, to be between $250 and $300 million per day for the New York, New Jersey area, and it's a 19 county area around our facilities.
That's great. I appreciate that. Thank you, Beth.
Terrific. That concludes today's briefing. Thank you for those that joined, and thank you very much, Beth, for your time today.
Thank you.
Have a great day, everyone.